The last game that we have to talk about, one of the more interesting games being played this weekend, we got the 7-3 Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the 6-5 Indianapolis Colts. The Buccaneers, as of right now, are a 3-point favorite. They defeated the New York Giants on Monday night 30-10. And meanwhile, the Indianapolis Colts defeated the Buffalo Bills 41-15. Now, like I told everybody, this month, the month of November, around Thanksgiving, is the most important time of the NFL season, because this is where we start to see teams start to hit their strides. They start to peak. This is where we start to see teams who struggled during the earlier portion of the season start to get really hot, and teams who were good at the start of the season start to kind of get cold. And Indianapolis, the Colts are one of the teams who started the season out slow, who a lot of people are writing off, just like how a lot of people are writing off Kansas City, and now they're one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. Jonathan Taylor has been going crazy over the last couple of weeks. He has been the first running back this year to reach 1,000 yards. Last week, he had the game of his career. 185 rushing yards, 5 total touchdowns versus the Buffalo Bills, a very good Buffalo Bills team right now. And meanwhile, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who are going into this game with one of the best run defenses in the NFL. They're only allowing 78.4 rushing yards per game, which is the best in the league. And Tampa Bay's run defense for the last 2 seasons has been the best in the league. So for Indianapolis, you got to wonder, what if Jonathan Taylor doesn't get going in this game? How is this offense going to look? Well, I don't really have any concerns about it, because if Jonathan Taylor doesn't have a big game, I still feel like this team can win behind Carson Wentz. And a lot of people aren't talking about how good Carson Wentz has been this year for Indianapolis, completing 63% of his passes, thrown for 2,484 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. He has one of the best touchdown to interception ratios this year. And Carson Wentz struggled earlier in the season. As a matter of fact, I made a video asking, is it possible that Jacob Eason could potentially start over Carson Wentz if he performs well? Well, Carson Wentz has pretty much erased all doubts. There were a lot of people wondering how he will perform this year. A lot of people weren't really high on Carson Wentz, but Carson Wentz has been really solid this year for Indianapolis. Now, I know you can say, well, JT, there hasn't been a lot of games where Indianapolis has asked Carson Wentz to throw the ball 30 or 40 times, but he is more than capable of being able to get the job done if he has to get it done through the air. Now you got Michael Pittman. Shout out to him. I gotta give him a shout out because he's holding me down in fantasy football right now, having a outstanding year, having a breakout year, what a lot of Colts fans expected going into this year. 57 receptions, 752 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. He has been the best receiver and the most reliable option in the passing game for the Colts this year. Now, for Tampa Bay, you look at what they've been doing offensively. Like, the offense for Tampa Bay has been there pretty much all year, and that's even with injuries to Gronk. And Tom Brady is having a outstanding year as well. He also should be mentioned in the MVP conversation, and not enough people are talking about the season that Tom Brady also is having, because, you know, Tom Brady just has so much success, and we tend to sometimes just overlook it and not give him props for it because it's Tom Brady. This is the level of football we expect Tom Brady to play. But Tom Brady this year has been way better than what he has been last year. And you got to remember, he took the Buccaneers to the Super Bowl last year. And the reason for that is because he's getting so comfortable in this Bruce Arians offense. They're starting to gel really good, because normally the quarterback's first year under Bruce Arians, they kind of struggle. They kind of have high turnover numbers. They kind of are super volatile. But Tom Brady right now is getting along in this Bruce Arians system pretty well. Tampa Bay, they're loaded at every position: wide receiver, offensive line. The run game has been really good. Leonard Fournette has been outstanding this year for Tampa Bay. He's also having a pretty good year. And he was playing so well to the point that he ended up kind of ghosting out Ronald Jones. Last year is kind of, you know, a flip storyline. You had Ronald Jones, who was playing so well that he kind of ended up ghosting out and phasing out Leonard Fournette, and Leonard Fournette has kind of just been the hot man this season. Now, the Colts defense was getting a lot of criticism earlier in the year, but it also has been playing some really good football because you shut down Buffalo. You only held Buffalo to 15 points. Buffalo has one of the best offenses in the NFL. Kenny Moore is having a all-pro caliber season for this Indianapolis Colts defense. Same thing with Darius Leonard. So this is going to be a really big test for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's a reason why they're only a 3-point favorite. And you don't really see a lot of large point spreads in the NFL. You don't really see a lot of double-digit point spreads. Normally, the largest point spread that you may see consistently probably would be 10, maybe 7 points. But Vegas probably views the Indianapolis Colts the same way I'm viewing the Indianapolis Colts right now. Like, this is one of the hottest teams in the NFL, and if there wasn't a team that could end up beating the Buccaneers, I definitely feel like it could be the Colts because they're playing some really good football right now. Now, my question is going to be, when you look at this Buccaneers defense, the pass rush. Because Indianapolis offensive line, their offensive line is pretty solid, but it's not as good as what it has been in the past years when it comes from a pass blocking standpoint. So I definitely feel like there's going to be an opportunity for the Buccaneers to get some key sacks in some key situations in this game. On top of that, they're now starting to get a little bit healthy in the secondary. They're getting healthy overall. So I really don't know how you should feel about this game if you're a Buccaneers fan or a Colts fan, because there's a good chance that any one of these two teams can win this game. And I think that this is one of the most underrated games being played this weekend, because you got to talk about the playoff implications right now, because the Buccaneers, they're starting to take pretty good control of the NFC South. You had the Saints who are on their trail for a good amount, but it now starts to look like the Saints are kind of starting to slow down. Injuries are starting to end up being too much for them. And when you look at the Colts right now, they're still trying to keep pace in a really crowded AFC playoff race right now. You got the Broncos, you got the Chargers, you got the Steelers, you got the Browns, you got the Dolphins who look like they're starting to surge right now. So this is a really big game for Indianapolis in terms of the playoff picture, and you're also trying to keep up with Tennessee in terms of trying to win the AFC South. My prediction for who's going to win this game, I'm going to take Tampa Bay. The reason why I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win this game is because I believe that they can slow down that run game of Indianapolis, and I believe that this offense for Tampa Bay is going to be able to do enough damage to that Colts defense that they're going to be able to escape with the win. I don't think this game is going to be decided by more than 3 points. I think that this is going to be one of the best games that have been played so far this year, because you just look at Indianapolis, they're just playing some really good football right now at the right time. And you look at Tampa Bay, I definitely feel like Indianapolis is going to be able to get Tampa Bay a scare. Wouldn't be surprised if this comes down to whoever has the ball on the last possession, but I'm going to take Tampa Bay to get the victory. You guys let me know if you're watching this on YouTube who you guys have winning down in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure that you guys go ahead, check out the JT Sports Podcast. Every video that is uploaded on the channel is available in the audio format on every single podcasting platform: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from. The JT Sports Podcast is available. All you gotta do is type in JT Sports. It should pop up, or you can go down to the description down below, click one of the links, and it should take you directly to it. Also, make sure that you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My Twitter and Instagram handle are both at JT Sports _. I appreciate you for listening, and I appreciate you for watching another episode of the JT Sports Podcast.